fasting is a very interesting subject. A lot of people say that fasting will kill you. A lot of people say that if you don't eat 3 meals a day of solid cooked food, that you'll become anorexic or you might die or this or that, and it's a bunch of garbage, man. I mean, I've fasted. I've done a 7-day fast. I've done 3-day fasts. I've done 6.5-day smoothie slash liquid fasts. I've done multiple 1 to 2 day water fasts, and all they've ever done for me is help me heal at an accelerated rate. I mean, it's amazing what the body can do when you let go of solid food for a few days. I mean, most people are constantly in a state of digestion. Most people use, in my opinion, 60 to 70% of their body's energy all the time throughout the day and night digesting all of the solid foods that they're eating. And when you stop eating for a little while and you just consume fluids, your body has a chance to finally not use all of its energy digesting and breaking apart food, and all that energy that it stops using breaking apart food can be used for the healing process. So I mean, I recently went on a 6.5-day smoothie liquid fast where I focused mainly on liquid. And typical fast, you're not even consuming smoothies, but I consider it fasting still. It's a smoothie fast, but I consumed mostly liquids. You should have seen the fecal matter that came out of me after a 6.5-day fast. I mean, I must have released at least 3.5, probably 4 pounds of impacted fecal matter. And I even took video of it just because I wanted evidence of what I passed. But I mean, this fecal matter was so disgusting. The smell, it smelled like the worst bad breath you'd ever smell. It was horrible. And, you know, to feel the way I felt after I passed that fecal matter, I mean, that fecal matter must have been in me for God knows how long. The smell was so much different than any other stool I've ever passed. I knew it was poisonous. I knew it was toxic. It was black. It was it was a black color. Um, and it had the consistency of hardened clay. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. So anyone who says fasting is dangerous for you, they've most likely never done it. They've most likely never done any research on it. They've probably never read a book on it. And if they have done it, they've probably done it the wrong way. You know, I mean, if you eat tons of food every day, ridiculously large amounts of food every day, and then you just stop all of a sudden and just consume water for 7 days or 10 days, I mean, that can be dangerous, in my opinion. So if you are going to fast, I recommend kind of weaning yourself off food for a while. I mean, give yourself 3 to 7 days of just eating less every single consecutive day, and then start your fast. Because to go from having a stomach full of waste, I mean, you've probably had, you've probably eaten uh, 2 to 3 meals of solid food every day for the last 15 to 20 years, depending on how old you are. So, you know, if you are interested in fasting, do it, approach it intelligently, approach it um, respectfully. Don't just jump into it and then, if it doesn't work for you immediately, discredit it. I mean, so many people discredit fasting who don't go about doing it the proper way. You need to prepare yourself for it. You don't just jump in to the deep end when you don't know how to swim. You go into the shallow end first and you approach the deep end. You learn, you get used to the water, and then you learn how to swim, and then you go into the deep end, etc. So again, people who think fasting is dangerous, again, these are the same people. They've probably never read a book on it. These are the same people who probably, just not even gonna get into it, man. I mean, there's a great book called Rational Fasting by a man named Arnold Ehret. I highly recommend getting that book. Again, that book is called Rational Fasting. Um, and it's by a man named Arnold Ehret. He also has a book called The Mucusless Diet System. A great book. I highly recommend checking both of them out if you're interested in fasting. Um, You know, to see how clean the urine can become when you fast, I mean, it's just physical proof that it's cleaning your system out. To see the type of waste that you can pass when you fast, it's just proof that you are cleaning waste out of your system. I mean, for me, all the dairy and all the meat and all the candy and all of the solid foods, I mean, we've constantly put our body in a state of digesting poisons. So when you stop digesting poisons, I mean, it's amazing at how much healing you can get done in just a 3-day period with fasting. So, highly recommend checking it out if you haven't already. I mean, there's so many people who have done 40-day water fasts. There's so many people who have done 100-day juice fasts. There's so many people who have done 3-day fast, 4-day fast, 7-day fast, 1-day fast, etc. I mean, this is definitely a neat science, and it's something that I think will catch on in the future. Um, just because, you know, from my experimentations, what I've found is that this body runs best on mostly liquid. When we eat nothing but solid food, especially processed solid foods, genetically modified solid foods, etc., refined foods, etc. I mean, we're putting our body in a constant state of breaking down these solid foods. Again, 60 to 70 or more percent of our energy is constantly being used breaking apart the foods we eat. So when we stop doing that and we put fluids in our body, and we abstain from eating solid foods, the body can now begin to use its energy that it normally uses breaking apart solid foods towards the healing process. And it's amazing what you can do with just refraining from solid foods, the colon healing that it can do. Again, all the fecal matter that I've passed fasting. Um, Not to mention the mind gets ultra still and it can get ultra clear. And that's because all the ingredients in the foods that we're constantly eating, all the chemicals and all the synthetics and all the artificial colors, they affect the way the mind works. So, you know, fasting can really induce a state of clarity in the mind. Um, and I'm going to continue doing this, and I don't plan on stopping. I mean, it used to be very difficult for me to fast, you know, just because I was so addicted to food. But now that I've changed my diet and weaned myself off a lot of the garbage, it's much easier to enter a state of fasting and to remain there without going crazy. I mean, many people, they start fasting and it's just like they're so controlled by their taste buds and the parasites inside them that, I mean, they have a hard time going 6 to 8 hours without food, without going crazy. So, you know, again, if you're interested in this and you do currently eat a unhealthy diet, I would recommend changing your diet a bit first before you approach going into a fast. You know, go vegan for like a month or two. You know, and then approach fasting. You know, so I don't know. Just wanted to make a quick video on that. I passed some really strange looking um, fecal matter. 3 days in a row, I passed these huge globs of black hard feces. It was like clay almost, the consistency, um, almost like moist hardened dirt, and it smelled so bad. The minute I smelled it, I knew it was poisons leaving the body just by the smell of it. Your instincts kick in when you smell something like that, and you know intuitively that it's poisonous. And the way that I felt after passing that garbage, holy shit, literally holy shit. I've passed so much garbage via cleansing, and it's just like each time I pass something new, it's like, holy shit, that's been in me. I mean, it makes me wonder how much more is locked inside this body that needs to come out. I mean, they say the average human has anywhere from 5 to 30 pounds of waste in them that's stuck in their colon and small intestine at any given time. So, you know, it really makes you wonder why people get cancer, why people get sick, etc. Are they getting sick, or are they, are they getting sick just randomly, or are they getting sick because they're highly toxic and they have poisons stuck inside of them? And in my opinion, it's due to the fact that they're not only acidified but completely toxified from having multitudes of weight of garbage stored in their system. And a large reason why these we have these fecal excuse me, one of the biggest reasons why we store so much of this impacted fecal matter, all this waste inside of us without it being able to leave, is due to the fact that a lot of the foods that we eat are very sticky. Like, we eat a lot of dough in the United States. We eat a lot of bread in the United States. Flour. I mean, have you looked at what flour does when it gets wet? It's like glue. We eat a lot of dairy. Dairy creates a lot of mucus. I mean, a lot of the foods that we eat are very sticky and very thick and very dense in nature. Are very dense. So when you eat dense foods, I mean, think of it this way, man. Make some oatmeal and then throw it against the wall and let it dry. That oatmeal is going to be there for years. And we eat a lot of oatmeal in the United States. We eat a lot of eggs. We eat a lot of bread. We eat a lot of meat. All these foods are incredibly dense. All of these foods are very solid. And the body is very fluid. It's mainly water. The body is largely composed of water. So, I mean, in my opinion, we're eating foods that completely contradict the dietary nutritional needs of this body. And because of that, we're storing a lot of the waste because we're eating a lot of unnatural foods. We're also eating a lot of foods that don't even grow in our local environment. So it's just crazy. I might post pictures of that fecal matter or video clips of it, um, just because it's important that people see the kind of waste that can come out of them. And if you're too immature to look at some poop on a video, then I mean, you're totally not ready to even begin cleansing, because you're going to be shitting stuff out. And if you can't handle that, then good luck cleansing. I'm just posted up here in nature under these trees on the bike, getting some exercise in. Now it's just like I'm going to be getting fasting at least one day a week. At least one day a week. My plan is to do much more than that, but I mean, starting with one day a week is a very good place to start. I mean, imagine how much, if you fasted one day a week for the rest of your life, I mean, think about how much less of a burden you'll be putting on your body if you just stop eating solid food for one day a week and you did that for the rest of your life. But fasting's bad, bro. I mean, our body is designed to eat all this food. Yeah, well, a lot of these people saying this are people that are highly overweight. A lot of these people that think they need to eat all this hardened food all the time are people, again, that are highly overweight, people that look sick, people that look zombified. So I don't need to hear it. Most of these people are people that have never even tried fasting. Most of these people are people who have never even gone 12 to 14 hours without eating. I mean, this country is addicted to eating, and it's addicted to eating garbage food. I mean, we've been eating junk food for so long that the average person can't even palate raw foods without like wanting to throw up, because we've literally altered our genetics. We've literally altered our DNA. We've become a race that eats burnt, cooked, denatured, genetically modified, enzyme depleted, mineral depleted, vitamin depleted foods. And what's sad is that a lot of these people have been eating junk for so long that they've kind of become aberrated in a sense. And I'm not trying to sound rude or mean here, but it's just like you're a reflection of what you consume. And many of the people out here, they just seem half dead, man. It's sad. They seem like they're walking genetically modified organisms. It's crazy. Fasting's bad for you, bro. It's horrible. You're gonna die. No, I'm not gonna die. And in fact, every time I go on a fast, I feel so much healthier. It's just like you're gonna die if you don't fast, in my opinion. You're gonna die quicker if you don't fast. Because when you stop eating and you start consuming fluids, your digestive system can now begin to use its energy getting rid of all the impacted feces in your colon, etc. You're not going to be able to do that if your body's energy is constantly being used to break apart solid foods, man. Especially foods that haven't been chewed properly. In this country, the United States, and multiple other countries, people don't even chew properly. I look at restaurants, etc. I look at people eating, and it's just usually 3 bites and then swallow. People swallow. And I mean, it's like many people swallow whole chunks of steak, chicken, pork, etc., without even breaking it down into the consistency of almost like a fluid, a smoothie consistency. So it's just like, think about how much energy your body has to use breaking down solid matter like that. If you do eat steak, if you do eat a lot of cooked food, take your time and chew properly so that your body doesn't have to use so much energy breaking it down. I'm not recommending that you fast. I am just saying that I've gotten great results from it. So if you're interested in cleansing, etc., get a couple books on fasting. You know, get Arnold Ehret's book, The Mucusless Diet System. Get his book, Rational Fasting, and begin reading about it. But I personally wouldn't recommend fasting if you're just doing it for mundane, egocentric reasons, such as getting like a thin physique, or using it to, like, a lot of people fast from like an egotistical perspective, where they get like this false sense of pride because they can not eat for long periods of time, as if that makes them better than other people. It's weird. I recommend, if you're going to do it for spiritual reasons and for the purpose of healing. Because if you do heal yourself, if you do stimulate healing, a nice physique will just be the byproduct of that. Most people approach health and eating properly so that they can have a beach body, so that they can get women, or all these crazy mundane fucking things. It's insane. Fasting's bad for you, bro. Okay, a guy who's never done it. And what's sad is that many people who are interested in fasting, they'll go on Google and type in, "is fasting healthy?" And they'll read all the biased opinions from all the biased people who have most likely never even fasted before, and get totally discouraged from all the fake fucking propaganda that they're putting out about how you need all this fucking food every day, etc. That's another thing. People are so persuaded by other people's opinions. Most people don't even have the integrity to try something on their own to verify whether it works or not. And most people just go on Google, "is fasting safe?" and they'll read like the first article, and if it says it's dangerous, they'll never even try it. They'll completely give it up. And you'll just bounce around other people's ideas like a fucking pinball in a pinball machine your whole life. That's not the way to live, man. I keep repeating myself, but I'm so amazed at the amount of garbage that I got rid of in the 6.5 day fast, where I focused mainly on liquids, but I ate about 20% of my diet was consuming smoothies, just banana smoothies with blueberries and spirulina. I mean, I'm amazed at the smell of this junk. I'm amazed at the color of this junk. I'm amazed at the texture of this junk that I passed. I mean, holy shit. And like I said earlier, your instincts know when something's poisonous when you can smell that particular smell. It smelled like chlorine mixed with dog poop, mixed with chemicals. It smelled like bad, mixed with bad breath. It smelled like a stale pond. All of that mixed into one smell that was just like the funkiest smell I've ever smelled before. And again, like I said, but the way I felt after I got that stuff out of me, I mean, I wanted to go run around the neighborhood. I felt so good. It's the same way I felt when I passed the rope worms and all of the big blobs of mucoid plaque that I had stored in me. And I have pictures of those too. Maybe I'll put pictures of that stuff on this video, so people can check that out if they're interested, just to see what I've passed. And I recommend, if you do fast, that you get yourself some nice herbal tea, um, some Centella asiatica, uh, maybe some burdock root tea, some ginger tea, etc. Um, just because when you are flushing stuff out and you are cleansing, at least in my opinion, it's beneficial to be drinking warm water. Because think about it this way: if you're cleaning a pot with a bunch of residue on it, and your body's coated in residue, so this is kind of an analogy. But if you're cleaning a pot that has a bunch of residue on it, and you're trying to get all the oil and all the junk off the sides of the pot, I mean, what do you use? Hot water or cold water? You use hot water because hot water breaks things apart. So if you're cleansing, drink some. Maybe you might want to try like hot water with lemon, or hot gotu kola tea, hot burdock root tea, hot pau d'arco bark tea, etc. Or you could just use warm distilled water, etc. Um, so check it out. Research, 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 and never go upon what someone else says. Use your own intuition. Use your own intellect when you're approaching cleansing. Because a lot of people put out a lot of disinformation on the internet, and a lot of people are completely thrown off course predicated upon reading disinformation. A lot of people have been trained from all the programming in the education system, etc., to always look outside of themselves for the answer instead of looking within. I mean, come out in nature and sit by a tree like I'm doing right now and meditate on it for a little bit. Meditate on fasting. Sit and get still and just, let the answers come to you instead of always using the internet or, someone else's biased opinion. If someone tells you that fasting is dangerous and they've never done it, then you should question whether or not they even have the right to say that fasting is good or bad. I mean, we've got to learn to break through all the bullshit and get to the core of the subject matter instead of just bouncing around other people's opinions and letting other people's opinions dictate how you walk through life, etc. It's crazy. But on that note, I'm going to get back on my bike and continue to get out here in nature, and I'm absorbing just some information from the trees and the dirt, grounding myself, drinking my tea, drinking distilled water with gotu kola and oregano oil and green tea and haritaki fruit. It feels so good to get on the bike and sweat and just sweat and sweat. I've got a bunch of jackets on right here, 3 layers, because I don't have money for a steam room or a sauna, but I do have the ability to just put a bunch of clothes on and bike around town and work my ass off and just sweat the poisons out of me. It feels so good to get exercise. And I love to just go out and exercise and just exercise and exercise and work my ass off and just sweat all the junk out and get all the fluids out of me. And then once I'm, thirsty, really, really thirsty after hours of exercise and busting my ass, then I consume the teas and the fruit juices, etc. And when you eat like that, when you drink like that, when you push yourself to the limit and you get all the sweat out of you and you get your heart rate going, and then you consume foods like this, you can feel it absorb. It's completely different than just drinking tea in the morning when you haven't worked out. So by exercising and sweating, you're kind of priming your body for nutritional uptake, and that's why the best uptake that I get from the foods I eat, whether it be an apple or some tea or some fruit juice, etc., the best uptake is after I've exercised heavily. I mean, taking cayenne pepper and water while my heart rate's up after I've climbed up a huge hill is so much more beneficial than if I were to do it after I've been sitting down researching all day. It uptakes differently. It moves through the circulatory system differently. It moves through the channels of the body differently. So, you know, probably be out here for another hour or two just on the bike, man. Highly recommend getting on a bike if you want to lose weight, if you want to get healthier, if you want to sweat poisons out, if you want to increase your metabolism, etc. A bike, I mean, I lost 65 pounds in about a year and 2 months just from riding a bike. And I wasn't riding a bike, you know, I was pushing myself, but I wasn't pushing myself like I can now. And it's just like, it's amazing how fast the weight will come off if you don't exercise, and you just start exercising for an hour and a half a week on a bike. So, kind of getting off topic. This was about fasting, and another great book to check out if you're interested in fasting is the Essene Gospel of Peace, Book 1, and read what Jesus Christ has to say about the health benefits of fasting and how it removes poisons, it removes parasites, it removes all the wastes out of the body, out of the kidneys, out of the pores, etc. And I'll probably make a Essene Gospel of Peace rant too, because that book's highly beneficial, especially in today's toxified world. And I may even make this a part of a multi-part series on fasting. But again, I guess to wrap things up, read some books on fasting. If you're going to fast and you currently eat a standard American diet, give yourself a 2 month to 3 month period where you wean yourself off of eating so much garbage food, and really consider if you even want to get healthy, because again, fasting isn't something that you just do and then you just, after you fast, go back to your old ways. You'll find that if you fast for a long period of time from all this junk that you're eating, and then after a fast you go back to the old junk food you're eating, it will hurt to digest those foods, because those foods are poisonous. So it is what it is. Haters are going to hate, and the people that understand this message are going to understand, because most of the haters have never fasted, and for that reason you have no right to say that fasting is dangerous. So on that note, peace be with you. Subscribe to my channel, please, if you like this, or if you resonate with this information. Peace.